We're going to finish up working with the chords for the moment by just creating a chord arrangement. And to that end, what I've done is mapped out the chords or where I hear them playing. So I played through the track and using Captain Chords, I flick between especially the verse section, which I've called chords 1, and the chorus section, which I've called chords 2, and then also just experimented with this alternative rhythm for the chords 2 section. Annoyingly, we can't change the name of these, which would be quite handy, but it's not a major problem. Now, as I was playing through, I felt like I needed something on the intro which is a bit different, and I thought maybe having the main chord progression repeating without the last chord, so it builds up a bit of tension. And I also felt like this section here needed some kind of alternative chord progression. Now, something I've also done is chopped up the a cappella so that it has some different sections to it. And in fact, what I could do is just take out some of these sections to show you a bit better how I was hearing it. So we had a bit more space in the arrangement, some sections where the vocal wasn't playing, as you can see there. And there could be maybe some instrumentation which takes over there. So that's the idea I've got. So in this video, what we're going to do is map out the chords in terms of dragging in the MIDI and arranging things. I possibly want to look at experimenting with changing the second chord progression to have a variation which has the same rhythm as the first section of chords within here, so having that kind of rhythm duplicated. And I'm going to drag in the MIDI so that we've got our sections mapped out against this arrangement track here. Okay, so what I'm going to do to start with is actually drag in my MIDI region from Captain Chords. And I'm going to experiment with this idea I had for having this repeating. So rather than going up there, I kind of want this to repeat. Let's see what that sounds like. Now, what we need to do in this case is we could have MIDI in selected, which means it's going to be working as a sound module. So basically going to be playing back whatever is playing back from within Logic. Okay, so that could be filtered or something to create some interest. Yeah, I like that. Subtle. Now let's take our chords 1 progression and let's drag this in. So this is going to be kind of our main progression here. And then we come to the chords 2 section. Now, something I wanted to try was having this chord progression, as I said, rhythmically following the first one. So let's try doing this. So we'll select those and drag them back. Let me just check where we're at with this. So that was the rhythm. So if we copy this across, let's just see how this sounds. Now I want this to be anticipating the beat and syncopated. Actually sounded quite nice carrying on, but I'm going to try duplicating this same rhythm. Now again, let's anticipate the beat with this chord, but what we need to do is drag the chord arrangement back to make sure we're still on this chord. There we go. Okay, let's try something here. I was just trying to listen for how I could hear that. Okay, let's bring this back. So again, we syncopate this chord. dun, dun. Let's have a little double chord on the downbeats here. There we go. Okay, now I just want to try something here. I want to try selecting these A's and bringing them down. And bring this one up. You can see that what it's trying to do is minimize leap there. So that's why it's changing the chord. Okay, cool. That sounds good. So let's bring this in. This is going to be my chords 2 section. And now we can actually work with copying things in Logic rather than working with Captain Chords. Okay, cool. So this extra like choppy chords for chords 2, I want to fit this in somewhere. So let's just see where this could kind of come in. Yeah, I think this could work. In fact, what would it be like if that actually came in the gap there? Because that's kind of a different vocal section that comes in. So maybe it'd be nice to have a little change up there. Okay, so let's put Captain Chords back to being MIDI in, so we don't have that overriding it. And maybe actually it'd be better the other way around, because then we could have a bit more impact when it comes in there. Okay, cool. Now I do actually have a kind of idea in my head for this alt chord section. So let me just play it again, see if it comes to me. So that's the kind of melody that. So I want to create some chords that kind of use that melody idea. So let's loop this section and let's go back to Captain Chords. Let's click on this pre-chorus that we don't need, we're not using, we'll clear that. So the first note was E, in fact, but I think I want E to be the top note, but more as a 7 chord. So if I play F major 7, as you can see up there, that's kind of giving me that E at the top. So we could go, the next note was D. I want to follow the same principle. So we'll do another chord, E minor 7. But I don't want that to be with the E at the top, I want the D at the top. And then the next chord, I can kind of hear it. Yeah, it's a D major chord. Okay, so we'll add the chord in here. And we'll do D minor and then make that D major. But that's not the right inversion. Yeah, so I think that's what I'm hearing is that D add 9. It's really beautiful chord actually, I think. So let's see how we could voice this. So yeah, maybe like that. So we had the F sharp at the top. So it's just a bit of experimentation here. So A in the bottom. D, E, F sharp. Yeah, I think that kind of works. Let's just syncopate these. Okay, and then we need the complexity added up with an extra note, especially for this chord here, because it sounds a bit awkward having the A at the bottom. I think it needs to have the D in there so you know what the chord is. But of course it hasn't done that, so let's just drag this F sharp down. Okay, I think that works. Okay, so let's drag this into the arrangement and see how it sounds. Let's switch it back onto MIDI in. Okay, so I think that works, having an extra section there. So now we've got our chords arranged. And the beauty of this is that we can go back to Captain Chords and use it to program some bass ideas for this progression. What I'm going to do in the next video is actually use Logic's piano roll just to make a few little adjustments to the chords, because as much as the Captain Chords MIDI editing is great, usually we're going to be the most comfortable working with our DAW MIDI editing functionality. So that's what we're going to do here. Okay, so to recap in this video, what we've done is I've mapped out ahead of time where I heard the chords being played, and then I used Captain Chords to drag chord progressions that I've created into the relevant sections. We also created a new little chord idea for this alt chord section, which I could hear being different, and we dragged that in too. So remember, important things to remember from this lesson is that you need to have MIDI in on if you want to use Captain Chords as a sound module, because otherwise it will be playing back whatever you have selected from our different sections here. Okay, so now we've had a look at arranging the chords that we created in Captain Chords. In the next video, as I said, we're just going to fine-tune the progression one last time using the DAW's functionality.